The issue of representation within the media, specifically within Hollywood films, is a topic that is heavily debated within our modern film and social discourse. There have been a plethora of scholarly research written concerning these issues of representation, specifically of marginalized groups. Although there has been a common consensus among these theorists on a certain consistency in the way marginalized groups are subjugated on screen, this including an infantilization, villainization, or pigeonholing to a sidekick or secondary character role, primarily for the benefit of a male white protagonist, each marginalized group and culture is subjugated in unique ways. This video will focus on the representation of Latinos in Hollywood media, using the scholarly work of Charles Ramirez Berg in his book Latino Images in Film, Stereotype Subversion and Resistance, and Emily M. Presler's article Hispanic Stereotypes in Contemporary Film. Hispanic and Latino people make up nearly 1 in 5 of the U.S. population, according to a recent U.S. census. Despite this, according to a study by the Annenberg Inclusion Initiative, it was found that Hispanics and Latinos are rarely cast in lead roles. In fact, only 7% of major films in 2019 featured a lead Hispanic or Latino actor. In short, Hispanic representation is sparse within the lead roles and speaking roles of Hollywood films. And to make matters worse, the majority of Hispanic and Latino characters that do get a lead or speaking role perpetuate and play into negative stereotypes. They tend to be typecasted into roles such as a criminal, clown, or sexpot. Charles Ramirez Berg outlined 6 primary Hispanic stereotypes: el bandido, the harlot, the male buffoon, the female clown, the Latin lover, and the dark lady. Sometimes these stereotypes were combined, sometimes they were altered superficially, but their core defining and mostly demeaning characteristics have remained consistent for more than a century and are even still evident today. One common stereotype role for Hispanics is that of the criminal, and these could include a variety of tropes and character arcs, one of which includes el bandido or the greaser. This stereotype's roots go back to the villains of the silent greaser films, for example, Bronco, Billy, and the Greaser, a 1914 film, but his appearance continues in a long list of westerns and adventure films, including the 2 guides at the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark, who betray Indiana Jones. El Bandido, according to Berg, is dirty and unkempt. He's usually displayed with an unshaven face, missing teeth, and disheveled, oily hair. And behaviorally, he is vicious, cruel, shifty, dishonest. Psychologically, he is irrational, overly emotional, and very quick to resort to violence. As a female equivalent to El Bandido, Berg offers the harlot. The harlot is lusty, she is hot-tempered, and she can deceive any man with her tricks. She is most likely in a role of prostitute or over-promiscuous woman. One notable example is actress Dolores del Rio, who embodies this role in most of the films she plays in. Since the harlot is a slave to her own passions, her conduct is simplistically attributed to her inherent nymphomania. In true stereotypical fashion, we are never provided with any deeper motivation for her actions. She is basically a sex object or sex machine innately lusting for a white male. One example of the harlot in action is the character of Angelica, played by Jacqueline Obrados in 6 Days, 7 Nights. Another stereotype is called the clown. These are essentially included for comic relief and as targets for ridicule. Often the clown stereotype is characterized by their simple-mindedness, failure to master standard English, and a childish regression into emotionality. Author Jorge J. Barrote states that the goal of including ethnic humor or making fun of a group, in this case Hispanics, is to emphasize racial and cultural dissimilarities and to infantilize Hispanics, thus creating a less threatening, different image of the other. The female clown, the comic counterpart of the Latino male buffoon, like the harlot, exemplifies a common device that the Hollywood narrative employs to neutralize the screen Latina's sexuality. According to Berg and his book, this is a necessary requirement because the hero must have a reason to reject the Latina lover in favor of the white woman protagonist. For that to occur, the Latina's sexual allure must somehow be negated. Generally, her character is sullied. She is made promiscuous or overly criminal, as is the case with the harlot stereotype. Or she is ridiculed and displayed as sexually easy or simply silly and comical, as is the case with the female buffoon. This is exactly what happens in 6 Days, 7 Nights. The romance that Quinn, Harrison Ford's character, has with the white leading lady, Robin Monroe, played by Anne Heche, perfectly conforms with Hollywood storytelling logic. It illustrates how Hollywood narratives, through the romances they depict, often endorse a subtle kind of racial purity, saying in effect that white males should only mate with those of their own kind. It's one more illustration of Latino stereotypes being used to demonstrate the moral rectitude of Hollywood's white film heroes. Angelica's Latin exoticism and eroticism are once again also played for laughs, putting her in a combination place of both the female buffoon and the harlot. Building off of the previous stereotype, the sexbot, who can be either male or female, is most often only regarded for his or her appearance. Similarly, Barbara Wolf describes this image with the words exotic, sexually hot, passionate spitfires, embodied by actresses in early films such as Lupe Velez, the original Mexican Spitfire, Carmen Miranda, the Brazilian bombshell, Maria Montez, and more recently, Salma Hayek, Eva Mendes, and Jennifer Lopez.